game or any sporting event in Colonial Beach. So thank you for all of that support. A couple of updates, CIP updates. We finished yesterday the installation of the new bleachers at Colonial Beach High School. We also finished the striping of the new outdoor basketball court on Saturday. And we also finished the installation of the softball lights, poles. The lights are up, the poles are up. In about 2 weeks, they're going to come back and run the underground wire to make the connection. And we will then have field tests for the lights and ensure everything is ready to roll. So that's we'll be ready for the girls when we come back, when we get to the spring season. Um, Another thing I want to talk about is around accreditation results. Obviously, we should get something from the governor's office later on this week regarding full accreditation. As you may be aware or not, accreditation was waived for the 2021-22 school year because of the pandemic. However, all schools receive a full accreditation report. While I can't speak very specifically about our scores at the moment, I do believe that once all of the adjustments have been factored based on the accreditation standards, I believe that the school district as well as the community will be very pleased. I know that there are, because it comes to my office quite often, that there's a lot of rhetoric out there, especially now that we're in a political season, around the fact that our test scores are the lowest across the state. That is a false statement. And I want to make sure that the community at large knows that when those scores come out, they will see that our accreditation results totally rebuke the fact that we're not at the lowest across the state of Virginia. I want to thank BAM, the Chamber of Commerce, and Colonial Beach High School. We are partnering on a career expo for our students on September 29th. We're going to have assemblies for all of our students regarding looking at potential opportunities beyond the idea of going to a 2-year or 4-year college. And on November 2nd, we are going to have, it's a tentative date, we're going to have a parent meeting as a follow-up to that assembly. We are looking forward to working with the town manager and the mayor's office on a monthly basis to do some check-ins and make sure that we as a school division are collaborating effectively with the town and the town manager to do what's best for our students. We have some ideas, so I'm hoping that we could do some collaborative projects. I heard some things mentioned in the updates earlier that I would love to collaborate on to really make this town not just safer for everyone, but also for our students. And I'm hoping we can collaborate on some projects together. I urge you to kind of please visit our school website. We've done a lot of work to try to revamp the website compared to where it was when I first got there. We're not quite finished, but one thing I'm very proud of is the level of information that we are putting out. And we now have all of our school board documents now on board docs. So it's accessible for the public to go and view agendas in advance, as well as all of the meeting notes on the website. I have to address it because it's something that has hit my office, especially now that we are in a political season and we are going for elections. I'm very much aware that the governor put out his model policy expectation around for schools to implement within 30 days a new transgender model policy. What I will say at this time is that we as a school division take the position that we are going to respect the rights of our students and the rights for our students to really feel safe, feel valued, and most importantly, have a sense of belonging in our school division. We are not going to change our policy at this time. If we have to address it in the future, we will then address that policy. But the model policy that was put out to be implemented within 30 days is not something that we are going to take a stand on as a school division. We believe in giving students the opportunity to be able to express themselves and express how they feel, and this policy does not align with the school division's current policy. I am also aware that we have this active shooter hoax that's going on across the country and in our state of Virginia, or the Commonwealth. I am going to be working very closely. The chief is probably going to get a phone call from me tomorrow. I will be working very closely with him to ensure that CBPD and the school division have safety measures in place if we should have any active shooter hoax, or if we have any real threat in our school division. Lastly, a couple of key dates to remember. Our next home game, football, September 29th at 7 p.m. It is not a Friday, it's a Thursday. And our next home volleyball game is October 3rd at 5:30 p.m. against Caroline. And the game on the 29th is against West Point. That's all I have. I know I said a lot. Any questions?
That was quite an update.
It's, yes, a lot happening.
I just wanted to pass along that I was also not in attendance at the last home game, although I think Mr. Allison was. Oh, you where you normally go. Monger was, yeah. We were camping, but it had come back to me about what a positive game it was. Lots of Drifter pride there, and the police presence. I don't know. I guess so. That was all coordinated ahead of time. Was very well received, and that was noticed by citizens. And so I just want to say thank you for collaborating on that, because I think it was indeed effective to the community engagement that we're expecting.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll continue to do that. The chief knows, he and I talked about that initially when I first came on board, and we had a plan and we were able to execute it. So I thank him for that. And we'll continue to put that plan in place for the rest of the year. Any other questions?
I was gone for a while. Do you know when homecoming is?
That game on the 29th is the homecoming game.
And is there a parade?
There will be a lot of activities planning. The high school is planning that. I can't speak directly to it yet, but there will be a lot of activities for that homecoming game. Yes, that's coming.
Yeah, I think the 29th is homecoming, and then the 7th is seniors night.
Yes.
Yeah, I have it in my calendar. I'll be at the rest of the games. I just missed one.
I plan to be there.
I believe the high school wanted to make sure that maybe the businesses in town might decorate for the parade.
Yeah.
If they could, or just show some drift of pride if you can.
Yes, that's going to come out. I know they're working on it. I don't want to take all the details away, but I think they have some intention to try to get some of the businesses to decorate their doors and some of those things of that nature. So they're working on details. We'll get it out as soon as we can, to the community.
Just let me know if I can help with that.
Absolutely.
So looking at the schedule, it says homecoming game is October 28th at 7 p.m. against Lancaster, and senior night is against West Rowan on November 4th.
Oh, so we're mixing our months up.
Yes.
So you know what? You may be right. Can you pull up that schedule for me? So if you're looking at that, because I know there's some changes that's probably, that's the latest one that was updated. So for my notes, so you are probably correct on that. Thank you for
We
sharing.
were 1 month off.
Yes.
So September 29th, we do play West Point at Clingy Beach.
Yes. So that is not the
That's not
homecoming, so that's a little bit later. So that's why it makes sense why.
But we do need to turn out for that game, because West Point is the only other independent school district in a town. And it's like, us against them. We need to turn out and show our district pride for that game for sure, even though it's a Thursday night.
Oh, I'm coming. I purposely have a black and gold golf cart. So,
I heard.
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Okay, now for citizen input.
We have one sign up, Ms. Mack.
Mr. Trivett.
Already
yeah.
invested. Okay. And we had a follow-up meeting. I know this is a little bit out of order, but I meant to address it with Mr. Supervisor Trivett was up here. We know, Mr. Moncur and I had a follow-up meeting with, Riverwood Administration, recently, and they, offered also their clubhouse for, as a service office. And that they used to host, social services coming into their clubhouse like once a month or bi-weekly, and they already have a lock cabinet, they already have things like that. So anyway, pass that on. I know now you have to kind of start over, but it just reminded me to,
That would be perfect.
yeah. Yeah, anyway, very, very helpful. Okay. Now moving forward, old business, bike, golf, cart path, repair and safety upgrades. Ms. Fair? Or the town manager, who's starting with this one? Okay.
I'll be doing it. Do we have a presentation, Heather? You do see the options there in the memo that was in the packet. If we don't have that, I can speak from this. She has it? Okay. Sorry for the delay. I feel like I should tell a dad joke or something. Okay.
You ready, Heather? Yep. Okay.
Next slide. So the background, you all are aware that we've been working on this for quite some time, from what I understand. And council has directed staff to research improvements to include security, improve security, lighting, and improve the path area. That's a great picture there. It shows some of the degradation that we're looking to alleviate. Next slide. The recommendations are listed here. There are two options. Both encompass the entire length of the path. The first option is a short-term option, which we've talked about before, which would just be the milling and re-rolling of the millings along the entire path. And the second option, which is a long-term paving of the entire path. I went with the pull-offs. I had gotten some feedback from several council members and other folks about widening of the path versus the pull-offs. And the pull-offs seem to be the preferred method of doing that, and I tend to agree. So this price is with the paving of the entire length of the trail. With pull-offs, there would be 2 pull-offs per section of trail for carts and so forth to be able to pull over and allow others to pass if necessary. I've also provided you with option A with the lighting. So the lighting would be the solar posts. There would be 25 needed along the entire length of the trail. And the option B with lighting is there as well. And then I broke out the solar lighting by itself just so you could see that. All of the options do include it's turnkey, so it would include the fencing that you were all wanting to see at the entrance and exit of each section. And it would be the split rail fence that matches what's on Town Hill. Next slide. Again, that just tells you that what the options include. I would like to point out the lifespan for the option A, which is the short-term option, is about 5 to 7 years. And then the option B, which is the entire path, hot paving, which I believe I used that term last month, with the 2 pull-offs per section. And the lifespan for that would be approximately 20 plus years. Next slide. And the recommendation is that we do the option B with lighting. And I would like to point out that we are suggesting that we use ARPA money to fund this. The completion of this project is a little bit in flux. There is some issue with equipment rentals right now. We had equipment ready to go. If you all said yes tonight, I had equipment ready to go for tomorrow. They called today and said, the equipment we had for you tomorrow broke down and we can't get parts. So we're a little bit in flux on all of that, but we are ready to go as soon as we can, weather dependent and equipment dependent on whatever you all decide that you'd like to do.
All right, open it up for discussion.
Can I make a motion before discussion?
Sure.
I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation and go with option B with lighting.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? I second, okay. Yeah. Second, okay, we'll do discussion. Open for discussion. Yeah, sure. Did you have a point of discussion, Tom? Oh, okay. Yes, Mr. Williams, raise your hand first. Yeah.
Yes, I know there's a time limit on the ability to do the millings because of the weather, and it looks like we've already kind of passed that. From what I've seen, it's in the 70s in the next week or two. So is there a time limit on hot paving? Can we do that up through the fall or?
Well, interestingly enough, we haven't yet done our VDOT paving for the year. So we're looking at, Finley is supposed to come in next week and look at the list of streets and paving that we have for them with the VDOT money. And I'm trying to get them to commit to tagging this on to that. Again, that call is still out there. They said they would call me back and let me know. I will take them and show them the path next week and see if that's an option. I don't have a schedule yet for that, but that would still occur this fall. So it's possible. There would be some pre-work needing to be done that we would do in-house before the paving would occur. I would think we could do that if Finley, if we did all of the paving first and then did the path at the end of the paving schedule. I would think that would give us ample time to do the pre-work. So it's possible that we could do it yet this year.
And are you confident in the base underneath it? I'm not an expert on roads, but I know you have to have a certain depth of base before you can put blacktop on it.
I'm pretty confident that the base that's there is pretty stable. The pullouts would require a little bit of work, but I'm confident in my staff that they can do that, the pullouts 2 per section. The lighting would be another story. We are 24 weeks out on the lighting supplies. That's not something I have any control over, but we certainly would put the order in ASAP and get on their schedule, and I could keep you all updated on that.
Okay. And I've got a question for the chief. In your opinion, does lighting, because I've heard different residents say different things, in your opinion, does lighting make it safer, or is it potentially make it a congregation area for younger folks to go down and hang out and get in trouble?
I believe both could be true. The lighting does make it safer, in my opinion, professionally and personally. Will that lead to people congregating there after dark? That's a possibility. But once the path is paved and we can traverse the area easier, then we can have people patrolling it on foot or on bikes or other means of transportation as well. And there would be more people traversing it in general, so that possibility of congregation may not exist if there's a lot of traffic.
Okay. And then just one more thing, just for the council as a whole. I've had residents suggest that maybe we consider that last portion, I don't know what it is, a quarter or a tenth of a mile, potentially actually making it a road versus just making it, because it's the only place that there's completely separated from everything. All the other streets you can get around without the golf path existing. Is that a very expensive option to make that a road?
We would have to bring it up to VDOT standards, which would require, I'd want to make sure we have the right of way, which I'm pretty sure we do, but it would require a lot more base work before we would do that. I do want to say that the fencing will be removable. so that if we did need to detour, other than large trucks, if we did need to detour traffic around that area, if there would be an accident or something on 205, we could still do that, I think, in a limited capacity, the way we're planning. But there would be additional work and preparation and cost.
And if it was paved, if it was VDOT road, how much money would we actually get? Like, because I know we get so much money per year from VDOT for VDOT.
It depends on the, whatever it would come out to as far as lane miles. So it probably wouldn't be a lot, but we would add maybe, I don't know, what did you say, 700 feet, something like that. It probably wouldn't even be half a mile in lane miles. So it wouldn't be a lot of money, but it would be something.
Okay, thank you.
I ask the chief a question?
Sure.
How often are you called to that area for tomfoolery or whatever else you want to call it?
The golf cart path in its entirety or in a certain area?
In its entirety.
In its entirety is not often. I'd probably say less than once a month, and normally it's vehicles driving the area more than anything else.
Right, and I would believe that because I've walked it in the cars that coming at me, so I understand that. It's crazy, but, and go ahead with the other ones.
In segments, I think we get more calls for service probably closer to Classic Shores than we do the Meadows, probably just because of the population that lives in Classic Shores. There's more residents in that part of the golf cart path, so we get a little bit more calls for service in that area than
There's a lot of kids in that area.
there are.
Yeah.
But still with that, if we get 2 calls a month, that I would be surprised. We don't get a lot of calls for service on the actual golf cart path in general.
Thank you.
I have a related topic to this. If we move forward with this option, I really would like council to consider naming the linear park or path or however we want to name it after Walter Kern. So I just want to put that thought out there. I think there's some funding for a bench in his honor already, and that maybe that would be a good start to adding some amenity to it as well.
Mayor, we have several excess benches that we pulled from the visitor center building. They're almost brand new, if that would serve your purpose. We already have those at the shop.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to, I mean, I think the pavement part and the fencing part and the safety part is first priority, but I think that would be a nice addition there. I was driving since we've been, I mean, obviously we've been talking about the golf cart path for years, but since our last discussion to really move forward with one of these options and get this analysis moving, I have been traversing the entire path every single time I go to the Meadows, which my mother lives in the Meadows. Nobody knows that I live on this side, so I have to go that way quite often. Also, I don't use my car very much if the weather is nice. I always use my golf cart. So anyway, I have seen a lot of golf carts and the ATVs and things like that, but I've seen families with strollers walking down it and or joggers. And anyway, I just think it will be appreciated by a multitude of uses. It is a multi-use path, and I think that would be appreciated.
I just wanted to speak in favor of the motion that I made. Obviously, I'm in favor of it because I spoke, but this, the safety improvements to the golf cart path have been a priority for some time. It's in our CIP, our capital improvement plan. We have the funds for it. Thank you, ARPA, to be able to do that. And it's probably the number one, I don't know about calls there, but it's the number one concern of people. I mean, the citizens are like, just don't go there at night. It's a dangerous place. Be careful that you're going there. And I probably get somebody talk to me about it at least once a week. For when are we going to get something done with the bike path, golf cart path? So I think all of our ducks are in a row to do these safety improvements and add the lighting while we have the funding, and it's a priority of our citizens, and it's a priority for safety.
You think we can add a memorial plaque on either end?
We have some funding at Green Space for a memorial plaque for Walter Kearns, and we haven't really made that a priority in fundraising because it hasn't been on the horizon, right? But if we can get it on the horizon, then we can raise more money pretty
Well,
quickly.
I'll be honest with you, I think that's something this town could do for all the service that Walter did for all these years. And, I think fundraising efforts are good too, but I do think that's one thing that, we could pick the bill up for.
Mayor, I just have a question. In terms of the lighting, and you said it was 24 weeks out, would Public Works be installing those solar lightings, or are we contracting that out?
I would prefer to contract it out. There are specs. We would maybe be able to do the concrete base, but I would prefer to contract it out.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion on this? I'm gonna do a roll call vote.
But just the
Oh,
one,
sorry.
I'm assuming since nobody else said anything, there's no desire to look into the road aspect on the very end between Forest and 12th?
It's my understanding when we did the application for the VDOT program to extend Dwight Avenue to Forest, which is the same length as this section, that the cost was in the millions of dollars. The length of delay in that would be substantial, and there's also a massive sewer line that runs underneath of this section of road. The biggest sewer line that this town has, and it runs all the way because it's pumping from the end of the point. By that point, several sections of town converging to go out to the sewer treatment plant. So I think that that's just adding a very enormous ask. But as long as it can be a service access road in case of an emergency on a limited basis, I think that kind of accomplishes the immediate need, and the ultimate need for having better access between those two neighborhoods is that Dwight extension.
Now, is there any danger of 2-inch thick blacktop with trucks or anything run over that even as emergency, or should we keep it just closed off completely?
I wouldn't want to see fire trucks or I'm from Pennsylvania, so forgive this, but coal trucks or anything like that driving over the 2 inches of asphalt. But cars, as the mayor said, on a brief, for brief periods, occasionally, if we had to do it, I think it would be fine.
I can only recall one time, and I can't remember what it was. Does anybody out there remember what it was?
There were trees down
There
on,
the trees were
right there at the end of 12th Street, kind of.
Right, and we all had to go to get to Bluff Point through there. So it doesn't happen very often. Let's call it on that.
All right. Any other questions? No? Okay, we're ready for the roll call vote? Okay, I'm gonna start on this.
I vote aye.
Okay, Mr. Mark?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Wood?
Aye.
I vote aye. With the plaques.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to making this happen.
Yes, me too. That's the biggest thing that happened all year.
So far.
So far. It's not really. We've had actually several really big things, but
I am curious though, is it coming out of the newest ARPA funds or the ones that were previously received?
oh, I don't know. It all ends up, is the grouping ARPA funds all one fund once we've received it? Or does it matter whether it's the first trench or the second trench?
It's all grouped in one amount, so it doesn't matter whether it's first trench, second trench.
Okay, thank you.
New business, public hearing. Do we have anybody signed up?
Yes.
Dr. Barney? Okay. All right, I'll open the public hearing at 7:14 PM. Mr. Barney signed up.
Peter Forney, 3419 Riverview Drive. I speak for myself as an individual. I'm not opposed at all to rescinding this ordinance. If you read through it, it's unoperable, and I think that's why you've had trouble keeping the position filled. I do want to speak tonight, now that I have your attention. As Tim Trivett said, as other people have said, this town works on volunteers. There are hundreds of citizen volunteers who help and give pride to this town and its inhabitants. They're represented by scores of religious, civic, and other organizations. And they also have the same goals and objectives and civic duties as all of us have here. There are many persons who act independently in the best interest of the town. The town has a large plaque in the anteroom out here of the Peak Bone Meeting Room that we're in. There are currently 43 blank plaque recognitions of citizens, and the last space was filled in 2005. I don't quite understand what the legal problem is with recognizing the citizen. You just spoke about recognizing Walter Kearns with a plaque. But I would suggest that that recognition plaque out there on the wall be resuscitated and retained, and that an organization of this town representing all of the civic groups be charged with receiving annually nominations for individual volunteers and citizens to be placed on that plaque out there. I think the town council could add its recognition to that particular citizen. I think it would be beneficial for all of us to say, yes, the volunteers in this town have a worthy place for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody?
That was it.
Would anybody else like to speak at the public hearing? All right, I will close the public hearing at 7:17 p.m. All right, do I have a motion and a second before discussion?
I don't think there's been a motion, you just did a public hearing, didn't you?
Yes, I just opened and closed the public hearing. I'm asking for the motion. Have a motion?
Move for it to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved by Meijer, second. Okay, open for discussion. I know we already discussed this at the work session about the code. I echo Dr. Farney's points about that. I think that class should get revived, and just because we have had a sort of inoperable advisory committee for a long time doesn't mean we can't pick it up as a responsibility here at the council level.
Is it strictly a memorial? Does the person have to have passed to have their name added, or is it a recognition plaque?
Recognition.
It's recognition.
So memorial is not it wouldn't.
But it doesn't even apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons this ordinance just really
Okay.
isn't applicable anymore. But yeah, I think we should start that maybe as of January annual process. Okay. All right, is there any further discussion on that? All right, I'll do a roll call vote on this side.
Aye.
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 All right, all right. All right, resolution 3822, rescission of the resolution of 2193, establishment of tourism advisory council. This is not a public hearing because the difference between a town code ordinance repeal and a resolution repeal is legally different. I mean, I guess I could call Vivian to explain that, but the town code requires a public hearing, and a resolution is direction given by a council, but it's not necessarily a mandate of having to follow further past that. You want to elaborate on that? I'm just,
I'll just clarify, just in case this does come up in the future. So your ordinances for a town, interestingly, there is no requirement, not even a publication requirement to adopt an ordinance or amend an ordinance. But we in addressing or in looking at or acknowledging that we were going to see a large number, hopefully, of ordinance amendments and repeals and whatnot come through. We talked about a month or so ago about the fact that it is best practice, even though technically not a legal requirement, to hold public hearings. So the distinction that you made, Madam Mayor, is one that we discussed and sort of approved and agreed upon, which is if an ordinance is for the purpose of amending, repealing, enacting, whatever the case, a codified ordinance of your town code, that best practice would be to hold a public hearing. Whereas another ordinance, there are many things in the state code that are, they do require an ordinance, but it's a relatively routine matter. So those ordinances, which would not be codified, would not require a public hearing. And again, the codified ordinances don't necessarily require a public hearing, but the town council landed on the determination upon my recommendation that would in fact be best practice. So yes, your distinction is correct.
Okay, some people might ask that question.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I would make a motion to rescind Resolution 38-22, but I would ask, because the Tourism Advisory Council has been a very important component, and they had run the visitor center for so many years, that if there's anybody in the audience that wants to say anything, we give them an opportunity to do so.
Oh, I would be very open to that. I know Betty's been to many meetings.
Yeah, and Kathy's not here either, I don't think,
Yeah.
tonight.
Maybe that's our first candidate for our recognition plaque. Betty, yes, Betty.
Dr.
Maybe
Sassoon,
these things are coupled on purpose and these just serendipitous moments happen. Yes.
Dr. Sassoon, if I could clarify your motion, I believe it's to adopt Resolution 3822, thereby rescinding the
Yes.
Tourism Advisory. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Does anybody in the audience want to say anything? Okay.
All right, we'll do I have a roll call vote listed for this, so I'll do it this way this time. Ms. Clement?
Aye.
Mr. Montier?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Dr.
Aye.
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 Wonderful. All right, we're getting to the end of things, closed meeting. We're gonna move to go into closed meeting. I'm gonna motion that town council of the town of Colonial Beach, Virginia convene in closed meeting for the following purpose and discuss the following subjects, all of which are exempt by Virginia law from public meeting requirements as indicated, namely pursuant to Virginia Code 2.23711A7, consultation with legal counsel pertaining to pending litigation, where such consultation and open meeting would adversely affect the litigation posture of the public body in the pending court cases in Westmoreland County Circuit Court. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and we're gonna take a 10-minute recess before we go in. Thank you.
I know.